Hey guys, I'm back and welcome to another video. Just to get right into it, a couple weeks ago I did a video called Instagram Influenced Plants. I got a lot of good feedback on that video and I actually enjoyed filming it. I'm not exactly going to do like another part of that video just yet, but I thought, why don't I do 5 plants that I have that I did not expect to love. I feel like some of you guys might be able to relate to me. Maybe you've brought home a plant that you liked or that you enjoyed. Maybe it was gifted to you by a friend, or like you did like a trade, or it was an impulse purchase at a store. However it got into your house, you know, maybe it wasn't a wish list plant or one that you were super excited about, but you brought it home anyway. So these 5 plants are those plants for me that I brought home that because I liked it, or you know, I got it somehow and I just ended up loving it so much, more so than when I first brought it home. First one on the list is my Philodendron Pink Princess. Hopefully it is focusing. I've been having some focusing issues with my camera. I'm not sure if it's because I may have actually banged it against a wall a couple weeks ago. This is the one that I got from Plant Some CA, and I'm just floored by like how beautiful the variegation is on this one. There's actually quite a few plants in here. I think there's 1, 2, 3, there are 4 separate plants in there, and actually all 4 seem to have like really nice variegation on it, not just the main plant. Like it's a great little pot that they sent me. Like this little guy here has so much variegation, even for being like a really tiny plant. But the main plant here is just amazing. Like I really love these leaves, the ones with just like the speckling on it, but it's just been pushing out so much pink. I don't know really what it's induced by. I don't really know much about the Pink Princess, to be honest. This one obviously is brand new, but you can see it's gonna have a good amount of pink. But I've really just been giving it sort of the same thing. Adequate light, meaning it's in a greenhouse right now. It's in my open EXO right underneath a 10-watt light. It's actually always been like really close to a light. Normal fertilization, normal watering, nothing too special. I just treat this like any other plant and I just leave it up to fate to give me variegation or not. But yeah, I've been pretty lucky with this one because this one is just freaking beautiful. So anyway, this is number 1 on that list. I have had friends, before I owned it, I had friends who had it. I would obviously see it all over Instagram. Sorry, I'm just trying to get in the plant room right now. The door's closed. It's no doubt that it's a beautiful plant. Maybe I can throw in some photos of other people's plants. I wasn't really into variegated plants. I really only had interest in like the Thai constellation and maybe the elbow, but even then it wasn't a plant that I was like dying to have. At one point, you know, I obviously had a change of heart and I splurged on a very large Thai that did not work out for me in the end. But at some point, I started to become more interested in variegated plants. But even in becoming interested in variegated plants, the pink was not really for me. I could appreciate how pretty it was in other people's collection, but I don't know. The thought of having a pink plant for me just was a little bit out of character, or like just out of the realm of what I usually like in terms of just things in general. I'm not a pink person. I don't really enjoy the color pink, but clearly we're here. I've had a change of heart and I actually love this plant so much. This is not the first Pink Princess that I've had. I got a Pink Princess from my friend Carmen. I have chopped that one a bunch of times. I have props from it that also has beautiful variegation. And I'm not sure if it's really like me sort of being like kind of conditioning my mind, or like just really having a change of heart in like the way that I feel about this plant and like how pretty I think it is, or if it's the fact that I acquired a small plant from a very good friend. I watched it grow from a little plant that didn't have a ton of variegation into a plant that did, and so you kind of establish that relationship. But as it stands now, I do think this plant is so beautiful, and it really makes me so happy even just looking at it, to be honest. It's like the leaves, I've said this so many times, I love the color of this leaf, how it's not like a normal green color that you see on like other philodendrons, right? It's like this very, very dark green with almost a hint of blue. So yeah, like that mixed with this sort of like creamy pink to like deeper pink. I have like this one's a little bit more of like a hot pink, and then the burgundy stems with like the pink like highlights on them, like you can see right here. It's like, it's fascinating. It's such a fascinating plant, and it's really fun to see how much the leaf changes when it is from like an emerging leaf to like a fully hardened off leaf. It's like a totally different plant, and just the variegation on this is just really beautiful in general. Like the sectoral variegation mixed with like that splashiness of like the like really lightened off pink on some of them. I will just say, as much as I love this plant, I'm just not a fan of this. How it's like so notorious for doing the glass slipper thing. Like, what is this thing's problem? I spray it all the time, even when it was living in like 100% humidity, because I did have it in my tent for like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, and it would still push out leaves that would get stuck. What is it about this plant that it just likes getting stuck? I can see 1, 2, 3 leaves right now that are stuck. I don't know what its deal is, but obviously that's not going to stop me from owning this plant. It's just a plant that I kind of have to keep an eye on. But yeah, had to include this as my first one, because when I think about this topic, or I think about this question, this plant is the first plant that pops up in my head, only because I remember being so adamant about not ever owning a pink princess, to now owning like, I think I have like 4 of them. And I'm not gonna say that this is a favorite of mine. Like, if I only had to pick like 5 plants to have forever, this would not even come close. This probably doesn't even like hit top 10, but very close, super, super close. The next one is my Hoya callistophila, and I feel like it's been kind of a while since I've shown this one on my channel. I'm gonna try and move away because it's like blending in with my shirt. I can't tell if my camera is focusing on it or not. Hopefully it's focused, but it definitely does look a lot different than when I first would have, when I would have shown you this last, which I think was during the Hoya apocalypse time. It would have only had 6 leaves. So these four big ones down here, plus this one and this guy right here. But I inoculated this with TPS billions in August and started using TPS-1 fertilizer. And I don't know if it was the timing or just honestly coincidence, or I really don't know what it is, but at some point this plant woke up and was like, I'm alive, because look at all of this growth. Like, all of this is brand new, and like the leaves are like a pretty decent size. They're so dark. I love how dark they are. There's all of these leaves coming in up here. I can see 1, 2, 3. I think I see 3 more leaves coming in. I feel like there was a 4th, but maybe I might have knocked it off. But either way, it's growing really well. It is on an Arka trellis, but it's way too small. I feel like I need to get this on a much larger trellis. Roots are looking great. I repotted this not too long ago because the vessel was getting really compacted, and it was just super algae ridden. But anyway, Hoya callistophila, this one is number 2 on that list because at the time that I got this, I think I was still really early into Hoyas, and this was the time where my friends were really trying to influence me into Hoyas, saying that I'm missing out, and trust me, they're so fun to grow, blah blah blah. But trust me, I was anti-Hoya for a long time. Like outwardly, vocally anti-Hoya. I was like, they all look the same, they never grow, and I just don't get it, you know, because for me, I love the feeling of big pillowy leaves and being able to like touch them and feel the texture, and there's just something really magical about like a big philodendron leaf, right, or a big anthurium leaf. I was wrong. There is 100% something to love that's very specific to Hoyas. They do have character, they have texture. I love them. I think they're so great. I feel like I'm okay at growing them. I'm not the best. I don't know like the most about them, but I know enough to keep them relatively happy. So at the time that I acquired this one, I was still sort of inching my way closer in the Hoya world, and I think it was maybe Alice, or it was either Alice or Jing that gave me a cutting of their callistophila, and of course I really liked it. I thought it was cute. I was like, okay, this is very reptilian, it's very like old and dusty and crusty looking, and at the time I really was not into like the dumpster Hoyas yet. So this one was kind of like the gateway one into that. And I don't know, I think it's once I grew these 2 leaves in my care that I was like, I am obsessed. I love this plant so much. And so this was the plant that sort of led me down the hole of the dumpstery reptilian looking Hoyas. And I know that a lot of them can sort of look the same, but I just love it. I love it so much. Like I'll take out I think this is a Hoya fungii. This one is very reptilian as well, but there's obviously a clear difference, you know, like many of them do look the same, but it's kind of like how like a lot of philodendrons look the same, or a lot of anthuriums can look the same. It's the same thing with Hoyas, but like it's a totally different experience, you know. They feel, okay fine, they feel exactly the same, but it's different. I'm gonna move back a little because I feel like we're a little bit too dark back here. I can't tell if that's better or worse, but this is where we are, and don't mind this yellowing leaf. I'm letting it die on its own. So anyway, yeah, this is just a magic plant for me. If I had to only pick like 3 Hoyas to keep in my collection, this would be one of the 3 for sure. I think you guys already know my number 1 would be my Hoya obovata. That, like, if someone said you can only have 1 Hoya the rest of your life, Hoya obovata would be that for me. This is a very close first, so I would say this is second. And then in terms of a third, I don't know. I really don't know. But for sure, Hoya obovata and the callistophila is on top. But I already knew that I was gonna love the obovata. I knew that already because I loved it when I saw it on Instagram. But I have seen this on Instagram before, and it didn't really do much for me. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly add this one because I don't know, I just get so happy seeing it, and I'm so appreciative of the plants in my collection that like continue to sort of not, I don't know, it keeps it exciting for me, or it makes me feel almost like comforted and just like happy to see them. I feel like I go through these periods where I get kind of bored of my plants. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but it's like I don't feel that like excitement about them as I do like during other times. But I have like my go-to plants in my collection, this being one of them, that even if there's no growth, even if it's not doing anything, I'm just like so happy to have it. And I'm just really thrilled that this one is growing for me now, and it's growing really well. I'm just not really sure what the plan is because you guys can see it looks like a roller coaster. I think I just need to get like a big and wide trellis to like, I don't know, trellis it taller and then wrap it around again because this loop-de-loo is not, it's not the vibe. Anyway, number 2, Hoya callistophila. I feel like I have to sneeze. I've been sneezing all day, you guys. Oh, I think I have a sinus, something with my sinuses. Anywho, next plant is the, I was gonna say Hoya esqueleto, the Monstera esqueleto. So I have a vague memory of talking about this in another video, saying how I was kind of hesitant to own it. What is that? Oh, it's perlite. Nobody panic. Nobody panic. All is well. Yeah, so Hoya esqueleto, Monstera esqueleto. I remember saying how I was really hesitant to own this one because of the fact that I had so much trouble with my Monstera spruciana. So the only Monstera I had really any luck with was the Monstera deliciosa and the Monstera, maybe even like the regular adansonii, but even then I wasn't great at growing it. I feel like no matter if I was trying to size it up on a pole or just have it growing as a trailing basket, it always ended up growing really like unattractively. So I did not have high hopes when I got I started this from a little cutting this big, the leafless little chunky chunk, and I didn't have much faith in myself, I'm not gonna lie. I really didn't even know if it would wake up, and if it did wake up, I didn't know if I'd ever be able to get the leaves nice and big. But here we are, and I am just floored by like how beautiful this thing has been growing. It's been sizing up pretty steadily. Like, look at how large this leaf is. I was a little confused at why this leaf, the newest one, is so much smaller, but I also noticed that, I don't know, maybe it's all in my head, but like the venation looks more sunken in and it almost looks more mature than this one in my opinion. But I really don't even care. I only have so much space, so even if they don't want to get super huge and just kind of stay around this size, I would be completely happy with that. But seeing this plant in my tent just makes me so happy. I really did not think that I would like it. When I first saw photos of this online, I thought it was a little bit creepy. I don't know what it was. Like, I'm trypophobic, and so I kind of thought the holes were a little bit off-putting, especially these like little ones by the midrib. But now that I own it, and now that I've like sort of appreciated other people's plants like through their photos, I don't know, I just had a change of heart. And you guys, I think one of the best parts about the Monstera esqueleto is the texture. It's like, it's thick, it's much thicker than an adansonii, and it's like kind of like leathery and buttery and smooth. It's so magical, and I just love how this venation is just like, almost looks quilted. It's like sunken in, and it makes it look like it would be puffy. I'm obsessed. I feel like I need to invest in a backdrop because it's a little bit busy. You can't really fully tell what's happening with this plant because there's a lot going on in the background, but it's so magical, and it is gaining some size. Like, definitely some of the leaves are bigger than my head or longer than my head. And if you guys were worried about the care of it or it being like a seemingly hard plant to care for or try and size up, I'm not gonna say that this is like a super easy plant, like you just throw it in a corner and then it like sizes up. Definitely need to get it like on a pole for one. I have been growing it in my tent. It's not like cheating, but you know, my tent has like the ideal conditions in there. Regular fertilization, lots of heat, lots of humidity, but otherwise it's just, the way that it looks now, I never in a million years would have thought we'd be able to get here. I was just very intimidated by this plant, but I love it. I don't just like it, I love it, and I feel like this is a plant that I don't think I could ever not own. It's just so beautiful, and I'm just happy that there's at least another Monstera that I'm seemingly okay at growing, because my spirits definitely got a little bit down. She was humbled by the Spruciana that just kept giving me runners. But to be honest, I would much rather have the Esqueleto over the Spruciana. So it all worked out in the end. Yes, we have 2 Hoyas on this list. This is the Hoya Nicholsoniae New Guinea Ghost. I was hesitant about putting this on the list because I knew that when I got the cutting that I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought it was beautiful. But the reason that I am including it is because I can vividly remember getting into Hoyas and thinking, I am never gonna get into the silvery ones. I'm never gonna get into like the variegated one. Variegated? Is that the right word? Yeah, variegated ones, or just like the minty ones, you know? I was like, I could go for like the super dark leaves. I could go for like the little round boys, but the silvery ones, not for me. And here we are with the silveriest silver Hoya. And I don't know. I just don't know. I just love it so much. It even looks cute when it's sun stressed. It turns like this pinkish, purplish color. And I can't think of one thing that I don't like about this plant. I can say that it's getting a little bit unruly, that's for sure. Here's my question to all you Hoya people. You have a runner like this, right? They said don't bend it down because it's gonna die. So I just go like this, just curve it back up. And at what point do you do it? Do you do it now, or do I wait until the runner gets longer so that it can go to the bottom and go back up? These are things I don't know, but I just cracked it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it. See, this is why I can't have nice things. Yeah, I had to include it because this is easily one of my favorite Hoyas. Actually, I think this might be the third. If I had to only pick 3 Hoyas: Obovata, Callistophila, New Guinea Ghost. And then a close 4th would be my reverted Hoya Wilbur-Graves, which I'm not sure if I've ever shown on this channel yet. It's pretty new. I can't stop thinking about this thing bleeding. I think she'll be okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's really nice. I think this used to be really expensive before in the Hoya world, and now it's like super attainable and not expensive. I can't understand why this one would be super expensive. Obviously, I know it's really pretty, and it definitely strikes me as a plant that would be like for the elite or whatever. But it grows so fast that it's like, wouldn't it be cheaper because they're so fast growing and like pretty easy to propagate? I don't know. See, now I sound cocky because my first Hoya Nicholsoniae New Guinea Ghost did not look like this. The one that I got for Christmas was a 1-leaf cutting. It was about this big. Good amount of stem. It was unrooted when I got it, but it just never rooted for me. It never grew, it never did anything. And you know, Jing had just kept talking about how it was such a fast growing plant. It was like one of her easiest plants. And I'm like, I don't get it because mine's not doing jack crap. And I'm just convinced I got a dud. So she gave me, I think this was a 2-leaf cutting when she gave it to me, or maybe a 3-leaf cutting. No, it was a 2-leaf cutting. And then all of these grew in my care. So clearly I'm doing something right this time. And yeah, I just love it so much. This is 100% a plant that if I didn't have friends who owned it, I probably would go out and try and buy it because it is so beautiful. And I do want to try taking a cutting of this once it grows a little bit more. For one, I want to give some to my mom, and 2, I want to have one to try and sun stress. I want to put it like super duper close to a grow light and see if it'll sun stress, because I don't know, this one's pretty close to a grow light, but it's super minty still and it's not turning that like purplish pink color. Alice's is pretty sun stressed. I'll show you a photo of hers here, and it's weird because we use the same grow lights. Actually, I think the light's in my Rudsta. This is still in my Rudsta because I don't want it to be around my mealybug Hoyas. I have my 24-watt lights in my Rudsta, so they're actually stronger than the ones Alice is using, but it's still not sun stressing. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Plant number 5, good old Philodendron Jose Buono. You guys, look at this new leaf. Can we just take a freaking moment to appreciate this phallic beauty? I love how the last 2 leaves are like almost a half moon, but they're like, nah, we're gonna just do this at the end. But it's so pretty. I'm so proud of this plant. When Nick, he didn't give it to me, but I was caring for it for him. When he gave me this plant, all the leaves were like about this size. So here's the oldest leaf on it. Sorry, we're getting a little crowded here, but here's the oldest leaf. But a majority of the leaves were like this large or like that. You know, I told him I'd take it, I'd care for it, and I really wanted to make it my mission to size this baby up. So I got it onto a pole immediately. And you can see it has worked wonders. The stem is getting super thick. If you look at the bottom here, you can see sort of how thin that stem is compared to up here. It's like so much thicker. This is a plant that I did enjoy when I saw it online, but again, was not super into like the variegated plants. I just didn't, and at the time, the prices were like incredibly high. Like they were just like stupid high. So I was like, you know, I think I remember seeing a Jose Buono in a purge. It was like a single node cutting and the node was like this tiny. And it was like, I don't know, like $450 or something. And I was like, okay, I mean, yeah, the variegation is nice, but is it that nice? Like, what? So I think I just sort of got the ick a little bit because I felt like only a lot of like the super elite collectors had it, and the prices reflected it. And I don't know, I liked it. I liked the shape of the leaves, I liked the growth pattern, I liked the variegation, but I was like, I would never pay those prices for this plant. But as the market does, prices went down a lot and I was able to get one, but I actually got mine as a gift. But even then, if you just go in your local market now, you can get the Jose Buono pretty cheap. I really had no intention of owning a Jose Buono, really. I had liked it, but I didn't like it enough to like spend any money on it. But one day I went to visit my best friend Burley, and she had a plant that was like 5 times larger than this. It was like a really mature specimen, and it was getting a little bit too big for her space, so she chopped it down. I took a couple nodes, and really I was like, oh yeah, this is like pretty exciting because it's a piece of my friend's plant, and you know, the variegation on hers is beautiful. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. And I do still have that plant. It's kind of been through hell and back, but she's still with us and I'm not giving up on her. This is her, this is the newest leaf. It's so cute. Second oldest. This one's going out. But yeah, we've just sort of been through it. Root rot, spider mites, thrips. Oh, speaking of pests, this one had it all, and I was worried. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not my plant. And you can still see, I believe, some thrip damage from the little ordeal. Where is it? It's probably not going to pick up on camera, but you can sort of see like the coppery, wait, which leaf was it now? This one? Crap, this one. Maybe? There's like some coppery, why do I keep wanting to say stains? Coppery damage left behind from the thrips. It more so had a very bad run of spider mites, and I was so worried about this plant because it was dropping leaves like crazy. It dropped like maybe 6 leaves in a span of like 3 weeks, and I panicked. But she bounced back, and look at her, she's beautiful. As much as I enjoy these narrow leaves, I'm kind of hoping that they widen up a little bit like a typical Jose Buono, because It does look very phallic, but the variegation is beautiful and it is getting bigger and I am proud of myself. And this is a plant, at least a variegated plant that I love. I don't just like, I really love this plant now, and I love it more than like an albo or a Thai or any of those variegated monsteras. I just feel like it's much easier to care for, I would say, than the variegated monsteras. I actually like the variegation of this more, this like sort of like polka dotty, speckly variegation. It's so stinking cute, and then like that creamy green where it like overlaps. You can't beat it. It's so adorable. So I will be sad the day that I have to relinquish this back to its owner, but she's not mine to keep. So hopefully one day my little baby will look a little bit like this, and at least now I'm a little bit more seasoned in the Jose Buono game. But yeah, that's it. How long have I been recording? 40 minutes. This is gonna be a short one. So anyway, that is all 5. I don't know if you guys own these plants or if you were thinking about owning them, but if you want my seal of approval, which you never need, but if you wanted it, I say hell yeah, go for it. I love all of these plants very, very much, and I'm so happy that they found their way into my house one way or the other. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it helps us a lot on YouTube. I appreciate all of the old and the new subscribers. Thank you guys so much for all of the love on a weekly basis, and I will see you in the next one.